Yo, what's going on everyone? Guiding Light here, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through this brand new quest in Season 1, and it's also a brand new mission type called Invasion. Now, in order to get started on this, you will have to have gotten through most of the quest already. You're going to have to be in Step 5. After this, you're going to want to put on your best build. I ended up running Bunny, and there's much better builds I could have put on. I wanted to kind of challenge myself and see if I could do it with something lower level, just in case like new players wanted to try it out. Now, what you'll do is come into Echo Swamp. There's two different invasions you can do right now, and they're going to rotate around. But this is the one I did with this build if you want to try to copy what I did. Now, once you get here, you can run over to the invasion mission. Now, what these invasion missions are essentially miniature dungeons. Now, this is unlike any other mission we've done in the first Descendant before. It's also quite difficult, so I would bring in your best build and best weapons. Now, there's a couple puzzles you have to complete during this, and there will be a boss at the end. And the boss does pretty decent damage, but I was able to get through it on my second try. The first try, I was kind of just figuring out how to complete the puzzle, and then the second try, I ended up getting it done. So this is how you're going to get over to the mission. I don't know if you can start it from the main menu. I didn't see an option to, so I figured I'd put the path in there. Now, when you get in here, you're going to see a lot of different things on the screen, and it will tell you that there's actually an 80% chill skill power deduction. So do not use any chill power skills. I highly suggest running Bunny for this. And as you can see, the faster you complete it, the better your rewards. You can scroll through all the rewards and the tiers involved with it. Now, this is only my first time running through it, so I will be making guides on better builds and better setups, but this is just how I was able to complete it on my first attempt. Now, what you'll have to do in order to complete this is there's going to be a bunch of different totems around the map, and there's going to be these different bomb drones as well. Now, what you have to do is run around to the different totems, and you're going to notice that some of them will be blank. It's going to be random every time. It's not always going to be the same. Now, these totems are going to eventually come up with symbols on them. What you have to do is look at these symbols, and what you have to do is actually match it up with the symbols that are going to be on these drones. So each area is going to have multiple different drones, but it will not be enough just to match up the symbol. It has to be in the proper order as well. So you will notice that even though the symbol was matched, it still managed to take me down. The reason for this is because the symbols have to be in the right order. Now, it may seem complicated at first, but one easy way around this is you just look at the first symbol and the last symbol, and then you go and double check the drones. And if so long as the two symbols don't match, you don't actually have to worry about what's in the middle. Now, occasionally, even though you just look for the first and last symbols, you'll still need to figure out the middle one because the two drones will still have the matching symbols. It will be complicated at first, but once you've done it once or twice, it definitely becomes a lot easier. So once you realize that they have to be in the proper order, you just have to memorize the 4 slots. Keep in mind the first and the last slot, and then you can track the other two pretty easily. Now, once you take down the proper drone, you'll be given a special weapon, which you'll then have to use to take down these nodes. Now, I highly suggest you take your time with this. You can use this weapon for a considerable amount of time. You can use your abilities and grapple, so you don't have to worry about like dropping it. But you do have to hit your shots, because if you don't, you're going to run out of ammo, and you'll have the more ammo you waste, the more time this is going to take. Now, I ended up having to do it in 2 phases. I don't know if there's some special way maybe to do it in 1 phase. Like I said, this is only my first time doing it, so I wasn't able to work a way around trying to get it done in 1 phase, but I was able to do it in 2 phases. So this time around, I just matched the 2 symbols. I didn't even need the middle ones. I found out which one was in the first and the last position, and then because the drones didn't match over there, I knew this had to be the proper one. Now you get the weapon a second time, and you can just simply blast through these nodes. So you'll go into the second room, and it will be the same process over again, and I'll show you guys where the totems are located. Now, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be completely random. You never know which totems are going to have the symbols on them, and you never know which symbols are going to be which. So just keep that in mind. You're going to have to double check potentially a couple times before you get it right. If you don't get it right, you will be taken down. So be sure to double check and use the method where you check the first and the last symbols. Once you check the first and the last symbols, double check the drones. If the 2 drones have the same matching first and last symbols, then you just got unlucky and you have to go and check out and try to find the middle symbols. But most of the time, if you just double check the first and last symbols, you can find the drone that matches up without finding the middle symbols. It does save a considerable amount of time, especially with all the enemies running around. So you might have to do a couple laps. This is why I suggest running Bunny for this. And then once you're sure you have the right code, you want to go and find the drone that matches up. No, I definitely didn't have anywhere near a perfect run. This second room took me a few tries for some reason. I'm not sure it was that screwed me up, but I double checked all the symbols again and I was able to finally get it. I do think there's certain times where you just get unlucky because there was a couple times where I would go and double check the drones and they were so identical it was almost impossible to differentiate between them. So eventually I got lucky and I was able to get a rotation of drones that weren't so similar to each other, and I got the two cannons that were needed to go through this door. So it's just like the first room. You're going to need to do it with two cannons or in two phases. So just make sure, or just keep that in mind. It's two phases long. After the first phase, there's going to be an elite enemy that spawns. I highly suggest taking him out before going around because he's going to do a lot of damage. So as soon as the second wave spawns, the yellow or health bar of the elite is going to spawn right here at this door to my right. Now, once I realized this, I went and took him down because he does a lot of damage. You don't really want him roaming around while you're trying to figure out all these symbols. I just followed the same method. I find the first and the last, find the drone. If I get lucky, I don't have to check for the middle symbols. And then I just got through this door as well. Now, like I said, this one took me 3 tries. The first time I got through here, it wasn't as tough, but this one has 4 symbols instead of 3, and there's a couple extra totems and definitely a little bit more enemies to take down. So this one takes a little bit more time, but eventually you can get it down. So definitely try to put on your best build for defense so that you don't have to really be worried too much about going down or taking damage, or just put on money so you can have your AoE effects just constantly running, and that takes a lot of the stress out of it. Now, it definitely wasn't something that was easy. It was honestly pretty frustrating at first, but I got it down. It took me maybe 20 minutes, and I figured it all out, and I was able to get through it. So just be patient at first, and you should be able to get through. Now, if you guys have there's much stronger builds than mine out there. And if you guys are running one of those, I'm sure you'll have even a better time. Like I said, I tried to sort of put myself in the middle so that I would be still challenging. I wouldn't just be able to speed run through it. Now, once you get to the boss room, things are a bit tougher. The first time I did the boss, it was almost seemed impossible. Now, this is only my second time doing it, and I was able to beat him with almost no issues because I was able to figure out a few extra things that definitely made it easier. Now, in this room, there's going to be 3 drones. So definitely make sure to double check all 3. There's going to be a third drone that spawns in the back left corner. Now you can follow the same method where you just try to link up the first and last symbols. I don't know if I just got lucky or if it's actually easier, but I found that the drone combinations were a lot easier than the middle room. Maybe it was to make up for the fact that the boss was doing so much damage. I'm not sure. Now you definitely have to keep an eye on the boss and try not to go near him. He's also going to send out these flaming tornado attacks. So just be on the move as much as you can while you're double checking these drones. As you can see, I didn't even really worry about the additional enemies while I was checking these symbols. I just focused on symbols, so I'm not sure if that helps at all, but I just let them get taken out by Bunny's abilities when they got close enough. Now you just keep double checking these drones. Eventually you're going to get the right symbol and the cannon's going to drop again. Now this part's pretty important. You want to make sure that you hit as many shots on the boss as you can. Each time you hit the boss, it's going to drop I do believe it dropped his defense level. Now, like I said, I only ran this twice, but the first time that I did it, I only shot the boss once, and I almost did no damage against him. The second time I ran through, what you're watching right now, you can see I hit 5-6 shots, and he takes way more damage than the first time. Now, you definitely need to watch your health. He's going to come at you with some crazy attacks, and he's also going to sort of determine when you're charging up, and he will send out these rock walls to blast you or to block your shots. Now, what I suggest is that you wait for him to shoot, and as soon as the shots are done, that's when you charge up your cannon. Don't try to shoot at the same time as him. Now, the more shots you hit, the lower his defense is going to get. A yellow bar will appear on his health. It's going to give you a timing about how long you can do damage for. Now, the first phase, I barely did that much damage. I took him down to half, which is definitely good, but the second phase, I did way, way, way more damage. So I think it was because I ended up hitting more of his crit spot the second time. The first time I focused more on AoE. The second time through, I focused more on my weapon damage. So I do suggest maybe just trying to hit him as much as you can with your weapon the first time through to just try to one-phase it. However, my health was very low, and I did not want to go down or waste any lives at this point. So after the second phase, one thing will change. The tornado attacks are going to actually become more aggressive. The boss is going to become more aggressive. So just be careful. As you can see, he's sending out attacks more often, and the attacks are moving faster. So you just be on the lookout for that. Do the same pattern where you rotate around, find the first and the last, and then find that drone that matches up. The second time around, you're going to notice I did way more damage because I ended up hitting him in his crit spot. So you might want to try to do that on your first phase to make this a bit easier. The biggest thing with this one is watching your health and just staying on the move. Keep your stamina up and keep your maximum speed as much as you can. Keep your momentum and just keep an eye on where the health packs drop, so that when you need them, because you will need them, you go and pick those up. Now, sometimes the drone's going to be right next to the boss, and that's definitely the hardest time. And there's enemies that are going to try to throw you out. So I tried to stand behind his wall, but it does not block damage, unfortunately. So don't stand behind his wall. It's not going to block anything. And I actually got a little unlucky because then the cannon dropped inside of his wall too. But either way, I picked up the cannon, land as many shots as you can, and you'll see I did way more damage this time through. Now, hopefully this video helped you guys out. I'll be making a ton more guides over the next few days to try to make this easier for y'all and just show you guys what's coming out and has come out in Season 1, all the new build changes and things like that. So I will catch you in the next one. Peace.